Hey, everybody, here we go. Episode 6 of Hanging Left. My name is Matt Connerton, and of course, with me, the effervescent Todd Air. Hello, Todd.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How's it hanging?
It's hanging left as usual. Only way it should be hanging, right?
I suspected as much. I didn't want to ask you that question last week in front of our guest. I didn't want.
Oh, I think
I,
you did actually, Matt. You did ask
I don't
us.
think I don't think I asked you that
Oh,
specifically. I definitely
oh,
us. I definitely didn't ask her.
oh,
I don't
yeah,
think.
yeah. Well, yeah, yeah, true.
I don't think I asked you either. I was being a little extra
Yeah,
careful,
yeah.
but
Okay, that's
But here
okay.
we are. We are streaming live, of course, on it is Sunday, July 13th. Of course, most of our listeners will get this in the podcast form. But if you are joining us live, welcome to the program. Feel free to participate in the chat. If I see the message, I'll read it. I'll put it up. But um, but speaking of our guests last week, so you have something to announce.
I have some big news. So, Sarah Chadzinski, we announced on, I believe it was Thursday, in front of the detention center in Stafford County. Is it Stafford or Stratford?
Stratford.
Stratford. Okay, better get these things right. Anyway, that she is going to be running for District 1 congressional seat, Pappas' seat. So, we're really excited about this. I'm actually helping her out with some public affairs stuff and all of that. So I guess, hey, full disclosure, right? So now you know, and I will obviously be pro Sarah on this show.
Sure, of course.
No, but I should be. There's a good reason to be. But and that really, Matt, brings us into the topic for this week.
Mm-hmm.
Which I really think we're going to do we can take this whole episode and really just do a deep dive into this immigration deportation mess
Mm-hmm.
going on. And I don't know if you know this, Matt, but did you know actually as we were standing there in back of us inside the detention center, there were 100 plus immigrants that have been detained by ICE. So basically, they have strong armed Stratford County Sheriff, and they have strongly coerced him into using his jail detention center for ICE detentions.
Now, do we know the detainees that are being held there? Are they people who were scooped up in New Hampshire, or are they just being housed there from other places, or do we know? I mean, they're probably not telling us that, right?
Not really telling us that. Our indication is yes, scooped up in New England, I would say at least. Tom Holman and Christine Nome, ever since there was that like slight by Boston, well, not even slight, they were like outright in your face, like, we dare you to come.
Right.
Ironically, he didn't come.
Right.
So now their like whole goal is to just like attack everywhere in New England,
Mhm.
other than Boston, because you see, when you're a tough guy, you always attack where there's like the least resistance, right? I mean,
But that's part of the larger modus operandi, right? Of how ICE operates, because there's all the talk about the MAGA people say, oh, got to get those criminals, got to get those criminals.
right?
Meanwhile, they're showing up at job sites
Yeah,
where you've got hardworking undocumented immigrants there. Clearly, they're not
right.
out on the streets hustling. They're not selling drugs. They're working. They're at job sites,
Wow.
and
Yeah,
that's where ICE is showing up.
absolutely. Because this is
Yeah.
really making America great again.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's good to like completely deplete our working force. Our entry level service positions, our entry level healthcare positions. People that are taking care of our elderly and our children. It's good to just completely deplete that workforce.
Well, not only that, but what's happening in California over the last week, now ICE is raiding farms in California. And I know a MAGA person will say, well, whatever, it's a blue state. Good, we're owning the libs, right? But you got to think a little bit deeper.
Yeah, number one, California is the largest, farming state, agricultural state, which people don't realize that. Honestly, I don't think I realized that until I took a deeper dive, but
Yeah.
it is in the country.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
talk about the price of eggs, my friend.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, and the Trump administration, Trump himself has been very confusing and inconsistent in public statements, because at one point Trump said that, oh, maybe we're not going to scoop up everybody at farms. Maybe that's not the best idea. Because I guess somebody managed to get into his ear and say, you realize, Mr. President, that, the farmers who, granted, through tariffs during the first Trump administration, Trump had no problem doing horrendous damage to agriculture at that time. But yeah, I mean, these farmers depend on these workers. You can hate them all you want because they're not from here, but these farmers depend on them, and we depend on the farmers for our food. So at one point, he started to walk that back and say, okay, maybe we won't raid farms.
Yeah.
And then they go ahead and start raiding the farms.
Well, he makes these. It reminds me again. I always refer to them as the MAGA mob and things like this, and he really operates in that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 1 minute he's doing something, or pretty much what he does is he leverages. He says what he thinks you want to hear.
Yeah.
He gets you to support him, and then behind your back, he stabs you. So even if you're like if you're a MAGA leadership, I would say. I mean, I understand. To some extent, I'm almost feeling like. I'm starting to gain pity almost on some of these low information, like Kool-Aid drinkers. It's like, I don't know what's wrong. Like, I mean, really, they're mentally challenged individuals. I mean, their livelihoods are being damaged. Their economies are being destroyed. One good example, let me just quickly pivot to this and we'll go right back to the immigrant thing. I mean, look
Sure.
at how, but clearly there's some insanity there because, like, for instance, Texas was given a large chunk of money from, I believe it was back in might have even been in the Biden era, but it was like a large chunk of money for, FEMA-esque, natural disaster. And you know that some of the money actually was rejected because, as Texas leaders put, I'm paraphrasing, but basically they said this is communist socialist money. Right. And we won't use communist socialist money to save our people. Well, first off, number one, it's not.
Right.
But number two, let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say it is. But if you have, China has in the past helped us with natural disaster. We didn't dissuade it. Like, sometimes the greater good matters. You can't just be like, it would be like, New Hampshire saying, we have a disaster, or Massachusetts saying we have a disaster and not accepting federal funds right now because it's MAGA run. Like, nope, forget it. We're gonna foot the bill ourselves. Like, come on.
Well, part of it is, though, Republicans. This predates Trump. Trump has simply capitalized on this.
Okay.
Is that Republicans are conditioned to vote against their own interests.
Yes.
Because I can never remember who to attribute it to, but you've heard it, obviously, and read it. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist.
Right.
I always say the greatest trick the Republican Party ever pulled was convincing poor white rural Americans that the single best way to help them is to protect the rich at all costs and make sure the rich pay as little as possible in taxes. And Republicans lap that up.
Right.
And so they're never afraid to vote against themselves.
My only problem is I don't understand that. Like, to me, like, what's the snow job in there? What's the, where's the curtains being pulled? Like, they're not even, at this point, I don't even feel like the MAGA leadership is even trying to pull, a curtain over their eyes. Like, they literally are just like willingly climbing to the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, because I think it's because, so like I said, I mean, this has been going on for decades. There's decades of conditioning that Trump has capitalized on.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But I think MAGA has taken it to a new level in that, and I'm seeing this on social media now, people pointing this out. It's not, so the people who vote for this stuff, which ultimately hurts them, like, for example, mass deportations of undocumented immigrants is going to drive up food prices.
Medicare.
All of it, yeah. All of this stuff where they're willing to harm themselves. People have started noticing this, pointing out that it's not that they're.
I think you've said this before, but yeah, go ahead and say it again. I think
it's right. It's more important. Again, I'm not talking about Republicans in a broad sense. Right. I'm talking specifically about the MAGA diehards.
Right.
It's more important to hurt the people they don't like than it is to help themselves. It's kind of like the people during COVID who.
So yeah, you know what? Go ahead and say your thing, and then I have an interesting point. So I came up with this philosophy.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I think this stems all the way back, at least with southern states and agricultural states, to the Civil War. So basically, the patriarch that's in charge, the power, the conservative money that is based in these states that has made their money through plantations and all this, and then they pivoted to something else, but basically still kept the same system. And in essence, even still kept a quasi-slavery system by underpaying fruit pickers and underpaying, agricultural workers. They're really, in some ways, still running plantations. So this whole thing fails because it's basically modern feudalism. And the whole thing crashes and burns if any of the workers start to feel like it's not this caste system and they're not sort of like angry at each other. The minute they wake up, they even have to keep their children in line, because the minute some kid goes to school and gets liberal, or some wife, who really cares about her son, who comes out as gay, lives in a city and comes back to his southern home and starts talking to his mother and starts liberating his mother and his sister, the whole system collapses.
Yes.
That's why I'm so afraid of all this stuff.
That is an excellent insight. I think you're 100% right. I couldn't have said that any better. I think you're absolutely correct on that. But yeah, I think for a lot of MAGA, it's more important, or I often hear, they say this on the Bulwark all the time, the cruelty is the point. So when you're looking at a policy that you say, well, this doesn't make any sense, and they're actually harming themselves, they're okay with harming themselves as long as they can hurt others more, the people they don't like.
There's a bright light here in this darkness. I will tell you that from working directly, especially most recently in the election. I went to it was a very busy week, Matt, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So I've got some good news. I think that I heard both Nancy Klobuchar, Amy Klobuchar. Wow. I don't know what. Sorry, Amy. I mean, sorry, Nancy. So yeah, sorry, Amy, if you're listening. Wow. I don't know. This is my life today. So she is, they're bringing in all the big Democratic guns to make sure that Brown does not win and that Pappas wins the senatorial seat in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And they've got this new philosophy, which I think is really, we practiced it this weekend when we were out, promoting Sarah, and it really worked well. And it's rather than doing this like promotion or like recruitment of red areas and try to like brainwash them into being blue, Amy Klobuchar calls it the open door policy. So what you do is you say, look, you have a right to think what you want to think, but we're going to come into your areas anyway to make ourselves available. And we're going to come talk to the few people, because there are people in these areas too that feel like they're being isolated and not being listened to. So it's important we show those people we're there for them too, because they can't feel isolated. And then what happens is they overhear us talking. And because we are open to a conversation, it does a lot more than like a big media blitz into these areas trying to penetrate the area. Let me tell you, because what they see is, the monster behind the mask is not a monster. So like this whole belief that we were like these scary people that are trying to convince them to like denounce Christianity and become like satanic pagans, is no longer the case. They're like, wow, not only are they not satanic, they're here trying to help us, even though we didn't vote for them, get the social services we need. Like, maybe we should start reconsidering who we're voting for.
Right.
And it's happening incrementally, but it is happening. And where it's really going to agitate him is what it's doing is it's making the blue states really freaking blue, because they're surrounded by blue, like all of the cosmopolitan areas and all of the areas with business and all that are very blue in all these blue states, right? And this blueness is starting to, unfortunately for the Republicans, seep into the waterways, if you will. And they're starting to see like, wow, even though we've been spitting fire and venom at these people day in and day out, they're not coming in with, we hate you because you're MAGA. They're coming in with, you know what? It's really awful what happened to you. And we're going to yet again. So in this way, I think the olive branch extension with like sort of a caveat that like, here's the olive branch sitting on a table, you're welcome to pick it up if you'd like it, is a great approach in that respect.
I think so too. Absolutely. I applaud that. And meeting these people and being available, as you put it, I think that what's good about that, like you said, then they, when they see you in person, they realize, because there's a lot of, I mean, we all know the narratives that go on in the MAGAverse, that
Right.
we're all blood drinking pedophiles and all that.
Right. Right. Eating cats and dogs and
Yeah,
who knows what.
yes, eating cats and dogs, and I think so. I think that's really good. You do have to be a little bit careful with the olive branch, though. You don't want to bend too far. And what
Well,
I'm
that's why I say we leave it on a table.
Yeah, because
It's
you
a
look
it's
at
a please come in if you'd like kind of thing.
yeah, because I don't know
That's
if
what,
you I don't know if you pay much attention to the Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, but they've been really taking a beating. The Young Turks were really the first big liberal news organization or whatever you want to call them on YouTube.
yep.
Back in the day when they started, so wildly successful. But Cenk has taken a lot of shit since the election for being too conciliatory to
Yeah.
MAGA
So
and trying a little too hard, because as people point out, it never really goes the other way.
sure. So let me clarify this very, very clearly.
Yeah.
We also, which I was super proud of Amy and Pappas, both of them, who tend to be a little more center left, but when they're amongst their people, it's great. They say, because this was a fundraiser for Pappas, whatever. They literally said in their speeches, like, look, both of them said, especially Pappas, he goes, look, I've done a great job reaching across the aisle. I've done a great job compromising. He said, where I think I could stand to improve is talking to the progressives.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, we need to start approaching this as we are really going for the same thing. We just have maybe a different technique or a different strategy.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're really going for the same thing anyway, it's an addition game, not a subtraction game. We need to start seeing each other as allies.
Mm-hmm.
Stop talking about these little nuances that make us different. Stop trying to blacklist each other, because P.S. we're doing the fight for MAGA for them. Why would we do that?
Right.
And
I think that's a great point.
And instead, just support each other. And, I actually had a great conversation. One of Pappas's staffers came up to me, and it brings it kind of back to both these things. And he said, she said to me, I won't say her name, but she said to me, what do you think? He said he wants to get progressives. How do you think? I know that there's a little bit distrust amongst progressives, and they kind of seem a little bit as like a turncoat, like, or they're hesitant. We'll be polite.
Sure.
That's where I think it is. Not quite a turncoat, but hesitant. A little distrust.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said, it's really simple. I said, there's this misbelief amongst the centrists that most progressives, and I'm talking about, the educated, especially those of us in progressive leadership, that our goal is for them to do what the students are saying, or like even the radical students, like, or the more radical students that are saying things like divest from Israel or whatever. I'm like,
yeah,
we don't want that. And we don't, or not even that we don't want that or want that. We realize it's not reality. It's not going to happen. But we do want him to stand up and say, in support of ceasefire. I'm like, so if he would stand up and support a ceasefire, and if he would stand up and demonize ICE a little bit more openly, he would have another 20% of a vote for himself. And he'd win. It'd be a slam dunk.
Yeah.
So that's all he needs to do. Just like on my side, I talk to the people, I talk to the young, the more like the social democrats, all of that kind of thing. And I say to them, look, stop asking for what you're not going to get. You're not going to get a divest from Israel.
Right.
Okay. So change your messaging, change it to anti-Ben, anti-Netanyahu, change it to pro-human rights, change it to all these things, and then you'll get further. I mean, really, and thankfully for me, it's job security, right? Because my job, I build bridges. I build bridges between these two groups.
Yeah. I think it's really important for the left to be able to have these conversations without it spilling over into. So, because I don't think so. I think that everyone should want to and feel free to be able to advocate for whatever it is they want. I think
absolutely.
I think if there's people on the, we'll call it the progressive left, who want to take these positions that maybe to centrists seem a little extreme, fine, and voice your opinions.
Right.
But centrists need to be able to receive that information without getting defensive.
Yeah.
But also the people who are on the progressive left need to, I don't want to tell them what they need to do, but I think in, you always have to
I'm on the progressive left, so I do tell them what they need to do. I mean, in a polite way. It's just like, you know what, Matt, I equate it as success, right? if it's like, I even say to Sarah, look, because Sarah's definitely left, but she's also very open to being compromising. And I'm saying,
Sure.
like, you know, you have to, again, that's why I like this open door policy, right? Because what it says is you're welcome to join us if you would like, but we're not going to jam it down your throat.
Yeah.
And we're also not going to step away from our own convictions, meaning
Right.
you can join us, but on our terms. You're not going to join us and dictate a complete swing, a complete 180. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like
But
that's not.
But it should be a big tent, right? Or at least, or at least an open one, because that's something you never hear anymore. We used to hear about, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, we would hear about on both sides too. We would hear about, we want to be a big tent. We want to be a big tent party. We want, people to feel like, well, they can come in, and even if they agree even if they disagree with us on 20% of the issues, if they're with us the other 80%, that's a good number. You're welcome in the tent.
Right.
But you don't hear that anymore. And it's even worse on the right, because on the right, it's, well, you're either MAGA or even if you have one of the most conservative voting records in Congress, if you're not MAGA, we're going to cast you out. That's what they did to Liz Cheney, for example. So it's even worse on the right. But I think
great. It serves us, because that means, again, it's that open door policy. So again, I think, certainly let in the Adams and let in the Liz Cheneys and let these people in.
Absolutely.
But I don't think we should go and recruit them. That's the difference. Because
I agree.
I think the optics need to be that they came to us, not that we are asking them to support us. And there is a big difference.
This is a little bit of a tangent, but I'm
sorry.
No. I mean, what I'm about to ask you is a tangent.
Okay.
No, I think we're on a great path, but this might be a slight tangent, but it relates to what you were saying, which is why I want to get your opinion on this.
Yep.
Do you think it was a mistake, because opinions vary on this widely? Do you think it was a mistake during the 2024 campaign for Kamala Harris to have Liz Cheney at some of those campaign events as a way of saying, look, here's this conservative who believes in democracy and is here with me? Because some people think that was actually a mistake, and that might have driven down turnout on the left.
Okay, so no, I don't, but I do think that it should have been more strategic. I don't think it's, so here's the thing.
I agree.
You don't deny things. Like in my world, when I'm advising clients, I don't tell them to lie or deny things about themselves. I just tell them to choose to emphasize things that fit the audience.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's not a lie. Like all of us, if we were to tell our entire comprehensive stories, right? First off, if I told my comprehensive story, we'd be here a year. Second off, like, it's not all pertinent to everybody.
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with targeting your communication and the narrative to the audience you're speaking to. I mean, people have been doing this since the beginning of time. So I don't know why Democrats suddenly felt like this is like they're guilty of being, less truthful or non-inclusive by doing targeted communications. I mean, if that's one thing we can learn from MAGA, it's that. They are great at their communication. Now, with MAGA, they were able to create a cult mentality. I don't think that's how we are going to win. I really don't. Frankly, sorry, MAGA, but our crowd's a little bit more intelligent. So you can't, it's going to take a lot longer to create a cult. And frankly, I don't want to. I want people that support both Sarah and other candidates that I support because they believe in them.
Right.
Just like I want my goal, and I am working to, I don't want to, vote for a Pappas because it's my only choice. I want to vote for Pappas because I believe in about 80-90% of the stuff he's saying. Mm-hmm. But I don't have to agree with all 100%. That's the other thing too, like you were saying. You can still be genuinely supportive of someone. I mean, who the heck do you agree with 100% of anyway, and anywhere in your life?
Unfortunately, and I think social media has played a role in this, and I'm not.
Oh, for sure.
I'm not anti-social media. Obviously, I embrace it.
We would not be here, Matt.
I use it. Right. Yeah. We wouldn't be doing this podcast, right? We probably wouldn't even know each other for all we know.
Then we'd be MAGA. We'd be voting against their interests.
That's right. No, so I'm not anti-social media, but I do understand that, there might be certainly some negative effects to it. And I think one of the negative effects is peer pressure.
Yep.
And peer pressure is not something that ends when you're a kid. Obviously, it does carry into adulthood. Some people like to say high school never really ends, which I think is true in a lot of ways. But I think on social media, especially, and this is on both sides.
Yep.
Both the left
sure.
and the right are guilty of this. If you say anything, if you have established yourself and your online identity is firmly on one side or the other, if you say anything where you say, maybe, actually, I think the other side kind of has a point on this issue. I think they might be right on this.
Yep.
Like I said last week, like I'm sure, remember what I said last week about how with car inspections, I actually
Yep.
agree with Republicans on that.
Oh, I don't, but okay.
I know you don't. Yeah, you and I disagree on that. And Sarah agreed with you and disagrees with. So I was outnumbered, but that's fine. But I'm sure there's people who saw that, right?
Right.
Who judge me and say, "Oh, Matt claims he's a Democrat. He's not a Democrat. What did you hear what he said?" I mean, I'm just using that as an example.
No, but that's such a small thing. It's like when we went to a meeting at it was in Londonderry, which is her district, and they do a Londonderry Wyndham joint meeting.
Yeah.
And we were I said a very, very progressive thing, very, very progressive, but not how they want me to say it.
Okay.
I said, so they were talking about, everyone was talking about, property taxes and all this stuff. And I said to them, I said, I have a question for you. I said, how is it? I said, well, actually I started off this way. I said, this is one area that older people can learn from younger people, because your Zoomers, even your young Gen Xers, I said, your young Gen Xers on down, accept the fact that we need taxes to support our services and our social services and things of this nature.
Yeah.
Which is why we're okay with living in big cities that are taxed, because we understand, but there are services for it, right? Like your trash is picked up, you get clean water when you turn on a faucet, your electricity is all of it. It's all guaranteed. Ambulances for the most part arrive on time. Yeah. Fires are put out on time.
And these are not conveniences. These are necessities.
Right. Correct. Yeah. And P.S. there's multiple different levels of housing in these big metropolitan areas. So if our problem in New Hampshire and other more rural and suburban areas is a housing thing, then we have to adjust our thought process on housing. Mm-hmm. So we talked about things such as, we can sit and talk about how the feds are cutting this, the feds are cutting that, all this stuff, but we have to find resources for now. Yeah. So let's go outside and talk to NGOs. Let's go outside and talk to nonprofits. There's resources out there to help us at least weather this storm for temporary relief. Before we get back control of this country. There are safety nets out there. They're just not federal safety nets.
Right.
So, and the other thing I said is, it's almost bordering, be careful, because it's teetering in that same free stater world. Like, if I said, if you don't have services, I spelled it out. I'm like, if you don't have services and you just want to keep on reducing taxes, you're an aging population. How do you expect New Hampshire to continue to grow?
That's a really good point.
Why would a young person like myself, and even younger people who can go somewhere where there is affordable housing, struggle to live somewhere, to have to pay out of pocket for everything?
Really good point. Yeah.
I'm like, we would rather pay one price, pay taxes, and not have to worry about the rest of it.
Yeah. And there's evidence too to support that their idea of people who think that we shouldn't have taxes and everybody should just be on their own. If you look at Kansas, when Sam Brownback was governor of Kansas, they tried that there. They tried the libertarian utopia thing. Todd just disappeared. But I'm sure he'll be right back. Something with his phone or tablet. But here we go. Let me add Todd back to the stream here.
Yeah.
Hey, Todd, welcome back. I don't know if you could hear what I was saying, but but they tried this in Kansas. They tried the whole Libya, the whole libertarian utopia.
We're tongue-tied today, Matt. We're tongue-tied.
Maybe they did this in Libya too under Gaddafi. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows?
But they just reduced taxes down almost nothing because, supply siders claim the lower taxes are, the more it stimulates growth. So you end up increasing, we all know it's bullshit. They even know it's bullshit. They just say it to say it, but because it sells. But they tried that in Kansas and they they said, all right, we'll take it to the furthest possible extreme. So they lowered taxes as low as they possibly could, and everything went to shit.
Right.
And the garbage isn't getting picked up.
Right.
And traffic lights are breaking and not getting fixed, and everything fell apart.
Yeah,
and Sam Brownback did not win re-election either.
Then we're in an apocalyptic society. I mean, thank you very much. I don't want that.
Oh yeah,
exactly. Yes, that's not democracy. That's anarchy. So
yeah, exactly. So,
but but I think so. And actually, it was interesting because then one of a state rep actually came up to me and said, "So do you think I should really start trying to figure out how to get this in the conversations?" I'm like, yeah, slowly.
Yeah.
I'm like, I would present it with the benefits first.
Yes.
And then underneath, you just talk about how, well, there has to be a way to pay for these benefits. Get people excited about the benefits.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I think that's an excellent strategy.
So anyway, and the other thing that was very interesting, my coworker, Jason, he said there's this misperception amongst the baby boomers and some of the more conservative Gen Xers and what have you, and older people, that the lifestyle that the Zoomers and the other people are trying to achieve is the same as what they wanted to achieve. But the reality is they're okay with multifamily homes. They're okay with smaller condos. They're okay with, even in the beginning, they're okay with dormitory style living, where they have their bedroom and their bathroom, but they share some common living space. All of these are not, they may be far-fetched to the boomers and stuff like that, because God forbid it's that S word, socialism. Right. But they're okay with it. As a matter of fact, they embrace it because they like community. They like these things. And so that was what Jason was saying. It's he presented that. He's like, why not build these style type things? WeWorks was a crash and burn, but something like a WeWorks.
Yeah. By the way, too, you mentioned that word again, socialism. This is something where, I complain about Democrats not being able to message. I don't know why Democrats don't talk more about how socialism and capitalism are interdependent, because this is another thing where we've really kind of let the right create the narrative here, because, you can go on YouTube and find these smart ass young conservative podcasters do these man on the street interviews where they'll go up to people and say, do you want capitalism or do you want socialism? Which do you think we should have? And of course, these conversations
without any background though, or facts, of course.
Right. And I think that Democrats need to, instead of letting that be the narrative, Democrats need to do a better job of saying, by the way, when Republicans talk about this choice between socialism and capitalism, it's a false choice.
Right.
That we already have both. We've always had both. We always will have both.
It's called a social program, social services. It's not called socialism. So that's fine. Let's not call it socialism.
But the two depend on each other.
They do.
You can't have one without the other. Capitalism can't flourish without a social system. And infrastructure, right?
You can. It's called authoritarianism.
Well, sure, but the kind of capitalism that we're used to enjoying in this country,
free markets, they won't be free.
You can't, and of course you can't have socialism without capitalism, because you have to be generating those tax dollars. Well, so plus, the two are interdependent.
Plus, it's not human nature to want to just work and work and work and only get a very small piece of the pie or whatever. So it makes well, I guess it's more communism, but pure communism won't work. And also, frankly, and this previous election shows it. Unfortunately, we cannot trust that humans at this point anyway are selfless enough for any type of so that's also the thing. People need to not worry about this, because no one with any brains is going to suggest that this country can begin to function as a communist socialist country in its purest form. Give me a break.
Right. So I think we need to really push that when someone says that to you, that you have to choose between the two, it's a false choice. We have both. We've always had both. We always will have both. We can argue about the mixture, and we should have those conversations. Do we want more spending on this or less? Do we want more regulation on this or less? And that's an ongoing discussion that we have anyway, but we have to really push back against this false choice. And I feel that that's one of the many examples where Democrats have unfortunately abdicated the narrative to the right.
As Amy said, and it's true, the reason why we're starting to make inroads is we are starting to play the offensive, and we are starting to come up with pragmatic ideas as opposed to like just constantly being on the defensive. And she said, and for God's sakes, let's lose this whole we hate MAGA. We all hate MAGA. So who cares? That's like, that should be like 15 seconds of the conversation and then you move on. If it's even that, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, for me to run a whole campaign for a candidate or, you know, a client on let's be MAGA haters. Like, okay, cool. You know, we just said it. That's it. That's your whole campaign. We might as well just stop right now.
Yeah. I mean, we can
You know
hate
what I'm saying?
we can hate the ideology,
Well, that's what I mean.
but I don't hate the people. I mean, I have
No.
friends.
Okay.
I have friends. I have business partners who are MAGA. I disagree with them.
Let's clarify this.
Yeah.
Hold on. What?
Uh-oh.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, God.
Uh-oh. Okay. Todd has to leave us for a moment. But you know, I mean, I obviously I have friends who are MAGA. I have people I do business with who are MAGA. Some people who I love dearly. I have a family member who's MAGA, who sends me these text messages that I think are pretty stunning given some of the values I was raised with. But I think it's important to be clear that, you know, we don't hate the individuals. We hate the ideology.
I'm the one that said it, so let me say it. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. When the insiders talk about hating MAGA,
yeah,
the MAGA term is referred to as like the leadership of the movement.
Yes.
So, and the people that are the thought police and all of that sort of thing, and also the ideology.
Yeah.
So, and to your point too, that's also why the I hate MAGA thing is not a great campaign thing, because yes, obviously what's going to happen is anyone that voted for him is automatically going to assume we are grouping them in that group, and then we're not.
Right.
But I get it.
Right. Yeah. Because you don't want to, you certainly don't want to project. I mean, if you're trying to win people over, right? If you're trying to win hearts and minds, as we like to say, you want to, you always want to be welcoming in that sense, right? So obviously, if you're making people think that you hate them or you're not interested in any of their concerns and any of that, then it's very hard to win them over. So, but I agree, yeah, and I think that's a good clarification, Todd. You know, we're talking about the leadership.
Just like I feel like I have to say something quickly. We can get back to ICE too. I don't know. I got us off on this tangent. This is my fault.
That's okay. I think it's a great discussion.
Caught the tangent, man. Anyway, I have rethought my feelings on actually both on Iran.
Okay.
And I just want it publicly known that I do not support it.
Okay. The bombing of Iran.
Yeah. I think that it wasn't it, and it's not it honestly isn't even ideological. I don't even think it was practical. Like, I think that there are so many reasons why I don't support it. Furthermore, I think it's kind of like we could almost use this as a simile to the I hate MAGA thing, right? Mm-hmm. We were starting to move Iranians as people to understand and want like more of like a free market, more of like, you know, freedom of speech, civil rights, all these things. We were starting to move the needle, and then we bombed them. And all that, how do you trust the person that basically said, it's okay, come to my house, it's safe, and then you shut the doors and you gas them, for God's sakes? It's like, that's a fascist, that's a fascist move. I mean, you know, and there's no way we could strategize, nor did they even try to, not kill civilians. So it's like, I mean, you know, not with bombs anyway. So, and third, and the other piece is they failed. They don't even know. They told us it was going to like basically annihilate the nuclear program in Iran. And now they're coming back and saying, if there even was one, I mean, there was one, but if they were even, I mean, they've supposedly had this bomb since 2009.
Well, Tulsi Gabbard says there wasn't even a program, and then she got scolded.
Who knows? So you see what I'm saying? Like, we don't even know.
I know. Yeah, that part's unclear.
And doing national military moves with not knowing is just foolhardy.
Yeah, I think generally that's true. I mostly agree. I'm a little bit
Okay.
conflicted on this issue still. There's a part of me that says maybe there was some value in a show of force there, just to kind of let the Iranians know, look,
Well,
we're not fooling around. You know, you've got to come to the table. Don't get me wrong. We never should have.
it's not a zero-sum game, Matt. It's not a
It's
zero-sum game.
not. It's complex. We never should have walked away from the JCPOA,
Right.
which Trump
That's
did
what I'm
during the
saying.
first administration,
Correct.
because the whole deal with the first administration was everything Obama did, we have to undo. So that was a huge error. The IAEA said they were complying. There was no evidence that I'm aware of to suggest that they weren't in compliance. But I also understand some would say, well, regardless, you know, they are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror.
They are.
Therefore, maybe they needed to be slapped, and that's what the bombing did. That's that little part of me. I know some people are going to say I sound like a neocon.
I'm not saying that. I really
No, I know.
This is kind of like maybe a little bit more. This is where I go a little bit. I don't even know what you'd call it, but I really do believe I don't believe that just because someone is a sovereign leader, if they are a sovereign leader of a terrorist state, I feel like it's fine to put them on the public enemy list and you know, eliminate them. So I mean, and if eliminating these people, I mean, maybe optics wise, it's not like super like warm and fuzzy, but if it saves like thousands upon thousands of civilian lives on both sides, why don't we use these kind of techniques? I mean, I really do.
Yeah, neither of us are pacifists.
Right. But what I'm saying is I believe in taking out the leadership. I don't believe I've always believed in that.
Yeah. Did you how did you feel about when Trump ordered taking out Soleimani? Were you okay with that?
Oh, sure, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. He is who we should be going after, not the country of.
Yeah.
And maybe if you could do it, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, if we knew 100% it was happening, I mean, yes, then it does become a lesser evil. You know, if they truly did have, like, if we had, you know, satellite photos of a bomb, all this sort of thing, you know, but, and the other reason is too, it basically said to Netanyahu, I can continue to manipulate the West. I can continue to manipulate the United States. Yeah. So Trump, who thinks he's got these people in his pocket, my friend, it's the opposite. They have you so in their pockets.
Although, can I tell you? So one thing, because you know what they say about a broken clock. One moment Trump had that I actually liked was when recently when they negotiated. So there was a ceasefire. There was supposed to be a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. And they asked somebody from the media, I don't remember who asked the question. Somebody asked Trump, I think it was as he was getting off the helicopter, about the helicopter, you know, what's going on here? I thought there was a ceasefire, but
no, I get that. I'd be pissed too if I were him.
And Trump had that moment, and a lot of people criticized him for this. I liked it because it was raw and it was real, something we usually don't get from Trump, when he said, look, both sides, they don't know. I'll keep it clean for the pod, but both sides don't know what the F they're doing, except he actually used the word, and he seemed genuinely angry. That was one of those.
That is good. No, and he should be, for sure.
Very rare moments where I actually liked Trump, where I actually thought, I wish we saw more of that guy. That was raw and real and honest. And I thought that was kind of a cool moment. But a lot of people.
I'm sorry. I admit, like, I have drinking the other Kool-Aid. That man, I will never like him ever again. Like, he's just.
No, I don't like him.
No, I know that, but he's just done so much damage.
I know.
I'm willing to extend. My open door policy does not include Trump and his administration. I'm sorry, I can't. No,
but you know what it is.
They're such vile creatures.
The thing is, I'm a very empathetic person, and I sense that you are too. But I'm sometimes I'm too empathetic for my own good, and I'm one of those people who will, no matter how vile I think someone is, I will look for things to like.
Yeah,
and so that was one of those rare moments where I was like, I like that guy, except I know that's not the guy he is the other 23 hours and 59 minutes out of the day. So I really don't like that guy. But in that moment, I was like, okay, he's right. What he just told the truth there.
I mean, in that way, I'm a little bit, unfortunately, I'm a little hardliner in that respect. Like, meaning that for lack of a better word, I'm Machiavellian in that way. It's like the ends justify the means. So like
Yeah.
if it, I don't even, to me, when it comes to things like diplomacy, when it comes to things like that are big picture that basically destroy, I don't even know what we can call it, social, I don't know what you want to call it, but if it's going to destroy all of these innocents' lives, and one is going to happen, right? Like it's pretty much a finite thing. Like either innocent people are going to die, or non-innocent people are going to die, but it's going to be a bigger issue because they happen to be people in power.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'll always go with the people in power, because to me, they are the responsible ones. They are the ones that chose that position.
Mm-hmm.
They are held up and they are more accountable than the average person because they have more responsibility.
Yeah, buck stops with them.
You know? Yeah. And with great power comes great responsibility, and leaders have to start realizing this. And if they don't realize it internally, externally, they will be taught that lesson. I mean, you cannot do these things. You cannot, I mean, if you want to just be some megalomaniac, go be a business tycoon. Don't be a political leader, because history shows it never ends well for these political leaders that are so tyrannical that they get caught up in their own head and refuse to listen to literally anyone around them. It always ends up very bad for them.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
Anyway, that was my pitch.
Yeah.
So speaking of tyrannical moves, back to ICE.
Oh, yes. The men in the masks.
Yeah. So talking about California, I'm interested to hear what you said, but I don't know. I actually have maybe I should, can I share this? I don't know. Maybe I can share it. I took a picture of literally, it reminded me of when they're looking for a kidnapped child. Yeah. And so they had this line of ICE agents, of course, all in their balaclavas, and all their faces. So looking like what they're really trying to do is like, take out a national terrorist, followed by members of the National Guard, literally sweeping this park like a snowmobile. I mean, like a plow, like is going through, like they're going to just, take out whatever is in their way, just sweeping it. Yeah. And come to find out, and because I guess this park was, quote unquote, they were given a tip that this is like a known hangout of the, illicit, evil, bad immigrants. There's drug trading going on here. And this is like, this is danger central. This is ground zero. Okay. Instead, they stumble across a summer camp. And they, of course, wreak havoc. These kids are screaming. The teachers are screaming. They don't know, because it looks like one of these movies where suddenly people are just kind of having just trying to go about their day. And now you've got these armed troopers swooping into your park. I mean, you can imagine the mayhem it would cause.
Oh, yeah. Jesus. Did they end up arresting anybody? Did they take anybody out, or did they just?
I don't believe so. I think it was very much a wasted source of resources.
Yeah. I mean, just to be clear, because I get text messages from a family member about this, and he comments too on social media, about how they complaining that we never, that on the show we never make a distinction between criminals and like, in other words, kind of the narrative that anyone who is an undocumented immigrant is a criminal, which I absolutely reject.
I don't agree with that.
I mean, I'm all for, if you've got a dangerous criminal in your midst who you can grab and deport, great, get them out of here. I'm fine with that. But
I'm fine with deporting Americans that are dangerous criminals if you want.
Sure. But I
don't want them here.
But showing up at job sites and just sweeping people up and actively trying to change the laws and
ignore laws.
Well, ignore the laws in some cases, yeah. But also trying to change law or doing away with birthright citizenship just so you can start deporting more people. That stuff is, I absolutely object to that. And I also think that, for decades and decades and decades, this country we play this game where, look, our economy depends on these people. But instead of making it easier for them to get into the country and do so legally, instead of reforming our immigration system, we just, we get mad. We talk about building a wall and whatnot, and just pretend that our economy doesn't depend on these people when it clearly does. So,
go grab my dog.
What's that?
My puppy wants in.
Oh, he wants in?
She'll just bark until I get her. So I have to go get her. I'll be right back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead. But yeah, so I mean, I hope the dog is going to be entering the room legally. But you know, we play this game where we've just sort of tacitly looked the other way to a large extent. And you know, I mean, if you really, if I would say this, if Republicans were really serious about stopping illegal immigration, you know, they would go after the not the workers. Instead of going after the workers, you know, they would go after the employers
Right.
and make it so that it was very difficult and very costly to hire undocumented immigrants. Why
Right.
have all these
We've, we've
decades?
we've tried this with sex crimes too. You know what I mean? And even in the drug war, how many
Sure.
times they go after the users and they don't go after the cartels? I mean, this is
Yes,
like
exactly.
and it's such a band-aid fix, and it's a band-aid fix for this gaping wound that's
Yeah.
festering. You
But
know,
but it's all a show because they
that's
know.
true too. It's not even a fix.
Republicans know, I mean, Republicans in leadership, they know the economic effect of actually going after the employers. I mean, there's been a little bit
I mean,
in
but look
that.
at the crap they pull. Look at like, with the big ugly bill. Look at the crap like, hey, all of these things are to pertain except to Alaska because we need
Of course,
Murkowski's vote. So we're gonna like make up. I mean, is that
I
even?
know.
What is that? That's not even like the system. It's not even I don't even know how
Well,
that's legal.
it's
Let's just
politics.
like change things
It's
for that
politics as
one
usual.
person.
It's politics as usual, really, though, because I mean that always happens. We
Oh,
just,
does it? Okay.
I think so. I mean, in this case, it was a little more obvious, but you know, these
Well, that's what I
senators,
mean.
they get.
Like just that blatant.
That's why these bills end up so stuffed with different carve outs. And you know, this senator, you got to talk him into voting for it, so you're going to give him a little something in that, and this other senator is going to get a little something for their state in that. I mean, that goes on all the time. But
Oh no, I knew that, but I mean, to me, it just seems crazy, like a blatant, like, like, oh, I don't know. It just seems so just like underhanded and just so like,
yeah. And she got really mad too, Murkowski, when she was confronted by that reporter. Did you see that? A reporter asked her a question about selling out the country, just for her own, for what was best for her own state. And Murkowski just kind of stared at the guy
well,
for like an uncomfortable 15 seconds, just glaring at him before she finally answered the question.
right. I mean, whatever happened to being accountable for your actions? I mean, you do things, then be prepared for the consequences.
Right. Well,
How
they
it
don't like
works.
that. Politicians don't like that.
I mean, not to mention it's completely captured now. You
Yep.
literally can do nothing without people knowing it. So make sure when you make a decision, you're okay with people finding out. Sorry,
Right.
just like, hey, stop.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Should we? It is almost. I know you've got a call coming up in a few minutes. Should we start to wrap this one up?
Why? Because my dog won't shut up. Twiggy, stop. I mean, I guess I wanted to hear though about the Twiggy, stop. Hold on.
Okay. Oh boy. Oh, that is a cute dog though. The dog is adorable. Hard to get upset with a dog that cute, or any dog,
All right,
really.
so I think she'll eventually stop. I hope. But anyway,
Okay.
I do want to hear about the ice farm.
Oh well, yeah, they're showing up like I was saying earlier. They're showing up at farms in California.
Okay. I thought there was a particular story.
And the immediate effect of this is that now, so the crops at these farms are just rotting.
Oh yeah, I did.
And again, I know, a lot of MAGA people, they're like, oh, look at this. This is great. Getting those illegals. And it's like, yeah, this is going to drive up. This is going to cause inflation. It's going to drive up food prices. But it goes back to what I was saying earlier. To a lot of MAGA, it's more important. The cruelty is the point. It's more important to hurt the people that they don't like
because they're hurting. Because
hurt people
really thought about it, they realize that they are really just as expendable and disposable to the conservative money groups, the Kochs of the world and the who else, like the Millers, the Stephen Millers of 2025.
Yeah.
Peter Thiels. These people don't care. They see them as like bugs.
Oh yeah, of course.
Like just things they can squish. And they want to use them till they're basically all dried up husks and then throw them away. That's literally what they want to do. So I think some of them, it's probably fear-based, like out of like, or anxiety, like, oh my God. So at least if we remain relevant, at least if we're willing to do their dirty work, You know,
Hmm.
they'll keep us around, especially if they're conspiracists and think there's like, you know, this like fascist, you know, white Christian nation that they're trying to build. So like,
Yeah.
if you're like low end of the totem pole, I mean, I kind of get it. Like, right? You don't want to be, if they really think it's going to happen and it's going to succeed, they probably want to make sure they've got at least a slot where they stay living.
Right.
And they know they can't come to our side because they've shot us, you know, shot us in the foot far too much. So like, I mean,
Right.
well, at least they think they can. I mean, within reason, some of them probably could, is the
Of
irony.
course. Of course.
But they're assuming they can't.
Yeah.
So they're assuming that, you know, that we'll shoot them at the gate.
Right.
Which we wouldn't. I mean, because that's just not what we do. Foolish or not, we don't do that.
Right.
You know, we're like the Ellis Island of the world, you know. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah. We live in very interesting times.
But yeah, I think it goes back to, like I was saying, that whole thing, like that whole, like, so I think part of it is the fear thing. So I actually think the whole, like, they're going to take our jobs is actually bullshit. I think it's more like,
Of course.
we're being stepped on. That's never going to change. At least we're not the lowest rung in the ladder.
Mhm.
I really, you know, and unfortunately, when you do that to people, you know, when you take away hope, and I think a lot of them probably have lost hope.
Yeah.
That's all they have, you know. And
Yeah.
furthermore, they constantly, that narrative, like some of them probably literally think that these like hordes of like this like liberal army is going to come in and just like do the same thing that some of the craziest of theirs want to do. We're just going to come in with machine guns and mow them all down, which is not our goal. Our goal is 100% to make, God forbid, a more socialist world where
Mhm.
everyone is accepted. Like, that's literally our goal.
With radical leftist ideas like everyone should have access to healthcare and things like that. These crazy radical things we believe.
Have a roof over their head, have clothing on their backs.
Yep.
Be able to eat.
Yep.
You know, be able to heat their homes. These are all awful, awful, awful ideas. I can't believe we ever came up with such things.
We're such radicals.
So cruel, too. So cruel.
I know.
I actually said that to people today. I was like, you know, I was talking to somebody at the Raymond function, and they're like, would you consider yourself a progressive? I'm like, if thinking that people have a right to basic needs and even want that even further and let them have something to look forward to in life makes me a progressive, then guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally it.
Yeah.
I just think about people.
Yep.
I just add humans into the equation.
Yep.
Which, last I checked, that was what we're doing here. But anyway.
Yeah. And we live in the most successful, most prosperous country in the history of the world. There's no reason for people to be suffering here.
No, literally not. Like, I don't know. I'm not an economist, but I feel, especially if we tax the ultra wealthy, like we should be taxing them. I really, as naive, maybe this is naive, maybe this is idealistic, but I truly believe we would have to have zero poor in this country. We are that wealthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you.
So
100%.
You know, why did we create this great economy for just a few? It makes no sense.
Right. And that few gets fewer and fewer. The concentration of wealth
right.
year after year is more and more concentrated.
I mean, at this point, it's like they're doing things like, you know, spending, like, look at these gross birthday parties they're throwing and all this nutty stuff. It's like they're the 21st century version of the pharaohs.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, they want their immigrant workers to be buried with them in their tombs when they die. Ridiculous. And to think that those of us that are intelligent, that have a level of privilege, but not that level of privilege, are going to sit back and let them do this to this country is so absurd.
Right.
Anyway.
Nope, I'm with you.
All right. Well, you know,
it's getting to be that time. I think you got a call, right? And yeah, it's about 3:30 now. So
yep.
So we'll wrap this one up, and I look forward to getting this online. I think this was really good.
It really was. You know, I don't know. I hope our audience feels this way too, Matt, but like our flow is just getting so great.
Oh yeah.
Even like the way that we chat, like we know when each other are going to pause, and like, you know, it's really becoming a great dialogue and a great conversation.
Oh, I agree. We step on each other a little bit, but that's going to happen when you have two people with a lot to say. But that's okay, because that happens in normal everyday conversation anyway, right? So it's fine. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, Todd, thank you so much, my friend. This has been episode 6 of Hanging Left. And if you want to learn more about me and everything I'm up to, you can go to mattconnerton.com. And for people who want to learn more about you, Todd, where should they go?
They can certainly, now they can go to Sarah C for 603.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
actually helping, .com. I'm basically like her, the man behind the curtain, so to speak, helping craft her messaging, help her with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Along with some other great people. Certainly the Matt Connerton, all that stuff links to me as well, because that's where Hanging Left is in the YouTube channel, and all of that. So yeah.
And we're on all the podcast platforms
Yep,
too.
all the podcast platforms.
Wherever you get your favorite
eventually
podcast.
get on Substack. So
oh yes.
yeah, that's our next goal.
We actually are. We do have the show on there, but I need to update it. But yeah.
Okay, no worries.
People can find it there too. All right. Very good. All right. Thanks everybody. Episode 6 in the books. Yeah. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.